Hi, I'm Duncan from Shegulls, and today we're going to be speaking to Julie Hemsley, former Albion player, coach, manager, assistant manager of England team, England Lioness, about her life and career and everything in between. So you spoke a little bit, but maybe give us a little bit more information. So when did you move to the States, and kind of what's your sort of journey been while you've been out there?
I went out to the States. Just team came over here, and I coached them. I was one of the only female coaches at the time, and they invited me out to the States. And I went out there, and I loved it. And then I needed a break. So whilst I was out there, a semi-pro team approached me and said, "Can you coach us in the summer?" Lady Phantoms, actually. So every summer I'd go out there, and I had a lot of, good memories out there. And then things started getting a bit spotty over here. My coaching doors were being shut instead of opened, and my mum passed away, which hurt me a lot. Actually, in America, we was at Christmas. And I kind of burned out, didn't really know where I was going, probably brought people into my environment that probably shouldn't have been there, that caused a little bit of a sadness for me. And in the end, I just got out of all of it and then decided to go over to the States, back and forth. And eventually I thought, well, I like it here. And they need help. And I've always been like that. If somebody needs help, I'll put them first. And that was probably one of my traits that wasn't good for me, because I should have been more positive about what I wanted to do over here, and then said, right, I'm doing it, nothing else matters. But I've not been brought up like that. And then my journey took me over there. So I guess in 2001, I decided to become full-time over there, and I got a job, technical director at a job at a club, a girls-only club actually. And then I just was in New Hampshire for 15 years, ran 7 clubs. Well, I didn't run them, I actually helped coach, develop their coaches, tried to get their programs better. And then moved to Florida. And then I, come out of football for a while. I did some college coaching over there. I was coaching goalkeepers of all things. Actually, I have to thank Pauline Bonus now, because when she was in the national team, she was a great goalkeeper. I would have to warm her up and put her through sessions, and I thought, oh, I better be good at this, because she's, So I taught myself a little bit of goalkeeping, and then we got Simon Smith, and he and I would coach together, and I learned a lot. And then I didn't have a master's degree or an associate's degree, what they need in colleges over there. So I said, well, I can coach goalkeepers. So I was at a really nice college, St. Anselm's, beautiful campus, and we got to the Final Four a couple of times, turned the program round, and all I did was the goalkeepers, which was great. So eventually I became a citizen over there in 2011, I think. Only because when I kept coming back and forth,
Of course, yeah.
Always put downstairs, sent me home once. But I got back. It was brilliant.
Goodness.
No, so yeah, it was an attraction. First of all, it was a coincidence, got a team, went over there, and then I got involved with the Olympic Development Programme. Actually, Emma was over there at one time, was Region 1. We're both coaching the same programme, so it was pretty neat.
Yeah. It's interesting how you sometimes come into sort of the circles of other people.
Yeah, it's just like this is almost a full circle right now, going, coming, and going back. But, and then the constant is football.
Yeah.
and the constant is here is Brighton Hove Albion.
Mm.
I'm a secret Tottenham supporter, but it's not secret anymore. No.
Breaking news.
Brighton Hove Albion. Yeah, that was because a family member was cousin played for Tottenham.
Well, I think speaking as a Brighton men's fan, I'm not going to say who it was, but I did have a Premier League team because obviously supporting Brighton at the time when we were in the the men's team were in the league. What would it have been called at the time? League Two. It was probably not even third division. It was called, I think, back then. There weren't many Albion shirts out back in those days. I never got to the Goldston.
I was going to say I was
never got to Goldston, but I did go to the Toys R Us that was there a couple of times. But I was a season ticket holder with Dean, so I'm not.
Okay.
You see some of the kids nowadays; they've come on board very, very quickly. But we're glad to have them. But if they don't remember the wet side, then
So you're obviously not going to say your Premier League team. Is it a Man U team? Yeah.
It was well, to be fair, my wife's family are from Manchester and they're die-hard Reds. So I suppose, it's just before I met her. So it's, maybe it was some sort of prophecy.
Yeah, you never know.
That happened.
But a lot of Brightonians had Man United when we were in the low division anyway, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously this is not an interview about me, but for some reason I had a Man United kit from, I think, the 91-92 season, which was actually before the Premier League. So I don't know, I can only imagine, I think I would have been 4 at the time, that they must have had a player I liked. And I think it was probably Brian Robson.
Yeah, that's my favourite player.
Yeah. And I actually met him at Old Trafford about a year ago at a corporate thing or other. So that was, you talk about coming full circle.
Yeah, I got a signed shirt from him. Somebody got it for me.
Yeah.
Not so long ago, actually. That's cool.
And again, speaks to, meeting your heroes and stuff like that. But it's fantastic. So I'll finish with a couple more sort of, not light-hearted, I would say, but probably a bit more sort of, you probably have something off the top of your head. So who was the best player that you ever played with or against, do you think?
For Brighton?
At all.
At all.
That you shared the field with this person?
Well, I think Jill, really. Gillian Coulthard was definitely there. Who else, really? Say. Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind.
And I often think that's probably that is the one, isn't it? If it's the one that jumps straight into your mind.
Banksy was good to play with because she was such a goal scorer.
I need to find some footage of Banksy because the more I read stuff about her, the more impressed I am and the more amazed I am that she doesn't get more.
She was an 11-year-old training with adults.
Yeah, which she talked about. She talked to us about.
Not just her. There was quite a few. Jackie Paul was a really good player. She had a fantastic left foot. And we got players from Brighton. Donna Smith played for England. Alex Cottier played for England. All good players there in their own right. Tammy Wayne, she didn't quite get a cap, but she was we've had a few. We had a few that we.
Because you had a goalkeeper over in the States.
Oh, Layla Young.
Yeah, she got a cap for England, I think.
Yeah. Layla. Yeah. Well, then Emma Mead came, and Lisa. These are all people that are at Brighton right now. But they actually came out into Layla, Emma, Katie Hodges. They came out to the States and played for the team that I was doing coaching at the time. So there was a connection with Brighton. Always,
yeah.
Wherever I go, there's a connection of Brighton ladies because I make it so because that's my life. I put a lot of my life into Brighton and what became. Unfortunately, sometimes you make decisions for the good or not so good. So, but. They went on to do great things, and look at Brighton now. They're just doing really well.
To everyone's slight surprise, but very happy surprise.
Well, I'm not surprised in a way, but I think Brighton, I was talking to the girls and I'm like, when I see all these teams that have developed, ladies teams, whatever league they're playing in, I'd like to see more girls. A lot of the clubs are running girls teams now, but it's nobody really knows how to do it. It's just an added, whereas I think we need, maybe it's more development officers. I mean, the best thing that the FA did was employed regional directors and then down it came into the clubs where you've got people working in development and then like the county, and it was important at the time because there was no base, there was no base for anyone to go. I think that isn't as needed now because something else has taken its place. But I do believe there is a void that needs looking at to say, well, and be careful because this is happening in the States. It's so splintered because they have no control over who's doing what in soccer, and I don't want to see that happening here in the women's game. I think we do have a much better structure. There's a feeder, but it still needs to be maintained and more people to be coming into the game. And hopefully these sellout crowds of, Brighton, not Brighton, but England and Arsenal and all these games where they're playing these big at the stadium all the time. I think it's important. I think people know in this town that we need a bigger stadium for the women.
Yeah.
Because we have a fan base. It's always been there. We just need them to come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere it's comfortable.
And I must admit, the number one thing that we've had when we've done surveys and stuff, it ultimately boils down to there's a lot of people who just say it doesn't really matter what you do until it's in Brighton. I probably wouldn't come. Obviously, there's a diehard. I mean, there's quite a lot of us that do go. I mean, we get 2,000 to most games.
Yeah, Crawley do a good job.
Yeah,
they put on a good show.
Yeah, and they're limited with what they can do, right? Because the stadium's red. We've managed to get the flag sorted.
Yeah,
so
it's Brighton. It's Brighton. Brighton Hove Albion. We need to be in Brighton.
Exactly. So I think once that happens, then it will really start to ramp up. But as we discussed, in lots of other things, we have to start building now for that.
For that, yeah.
And
they are. I think there's a lot that we don't know, and I personally it's great because they've got so many backroom staff. Oh, it's amazing, really. When you think about what we used to do on a shoestring, to what the capabilities could be with what they have. It's just, I'm always keeping a fond eye on what's going on and trying to get down to the ground. Matter of fact, I might try and go down Monday and have a picture with the cap down there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm planning on going back Tuesday, but you never know.
If you've got it, flaunt it. If you've got a cap, wave it around.
Well, I mean, it's part of the legacy of Brighton Hove Albion.
Exactly.
Because that's my club, my only club, apart from Surreyhammer, which was a couple of seasons off season, with a little bit of an overlap, but that was my chance to play professionally without it even being professional, because it wasn't heard of. We had a few girls go to Iceland and from the England team. They used to, little countries like that and play, but it wasn't the done thing. So, we opened a doorway there for a lot of other players that actually, we keep talking about Angie, but she's a perfect example. She ended up playing 6 seasons out there and moving to a bigger club out there. So it got really special,
Absolutely. So I'll make this the last question. Do you have a favourite, and this can be Brighton or otherwise, but do you have a favourite player now, or do you like players who play in a different position to yourself, or are you kind of always looking at the role that you used to play and going?
Well, I don't think I do that because I look from a coach's point of view, and I'm more. I mean, I do watch a lot of off the ball, like where's she running, what's she doing. But I do have a favourite player. Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah. Millie Bright.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's. Yeah, and I managed to. Well, she took a better selfie the other day because I just can't hold that up there and say, oh. So she took the phone out of my hand and I'll do it. Brilliant. Like, yeah.
There you go.
And it's quite my age getting to see some people that it's just like, oh, do I feel like a schoolgirl, you know? Oh. But that's the fascination of being in sports, being in football especially, because it just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Not really, not for long.
You still got that sort of, that fandom of the game inside you.
Yeah, it's a fire. There's a fire that just sometimes dims and then it flares up, and that's when you do your most productive work. And it's great. I love it. I'm said this before in a lot of other interviews. I'm so grateful for the journey I've had. Whether the good, the bad, the indifferent. I mean, you have to go through it. Makes who you are.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we're grateful for for speaking to us.
Oh, happy to help.
I've learned so much as always when we're doing these things, and I'm sure I'll learn more down the line, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll find out what you're doing and everything like that. So thank you so much for speaking to us.
I'm happy to especially supporting fans for the women's team. More than happy to contribute where I can, and I'll sit on committees. I did do with the Euros. I was on one of the committees even from over there. It was great. It's just football. It's just so gets under your skin, gets in your blood. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy, and sometimes it just doesn't at all. You think, why am I doing this? But that's a good game and a bad game, isn't it?
And you come back next week to do it all over again, or the next day to do it all over again.
Well, yeah. I mean, literally, it's like as a professional, I think you're taught you've got to shrug it off. You've got to move on, otherwise it'll eat you alive. And then you can sit back and rest on your laurels for a little bit and say, oh yeah, that was me who met Pele. Yeah. That was me who met this person. And then now, even back then, it was all men's really. I go into the England games, and it was I was rubbing shoulders with the men, and I'm like, well, now you can do it with all the women players. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you can, it's just great.
Yeah, I must admit, I was in like an online meeting the other day, and they were asking fans where they would like to see the game in 5 years' time, and there was quite a lot of differences. Some people were saying, I'd like to see as many or more fans at games than the men's games and things like that. I don't personally know if things like that will ever happen, but mine was, you're walking down the street and you would always hear, someone saying, oh, David Beckham this, or, Brian Robson, or whoever it may have been, Michael Owen, whoever it was. They're talking about football, but it's just in everyday life.
Right.
I want to be able to walk down the street and in everyday life hear people talking about Beth Mead or Millie Bright, or that's where I would like it to be in 5 years. It's just exactly like you said earlier. It's just football, and we're all talking about football as equals, not as like, oh, I'm going to talk about the women now, so you might not want to listen, sort of thing.
Well, that's the biggest equality part, is talk about both.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you're a supporter of the men, you're a supporter of the women. And not always, because some people don't find women's football attractive. Some people don't find men's football attractive.
No.
It's fast, physical, you get the same stuff. Whereas the women's game, I always think, is it's a passing, moving game. You can see off the ball what they're trying to do. You can see the patterns. You can, enjoy it at your own pace, because we all have different pace. And it is different,
Yeah.
But that's great. Yeah, those days aren't far away.
Well, we've just finished up here at the Caxton Arms with our interview with Julie Hemsley, and it's been fantastic. So we just want to say thank you to our venue, Thank you to Joe behind the camera and Julie, and also Joe and Eileen that came and brought Julie along. So thank you to everyone. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have more soon.